Sobriety came.
This sober vet.
Yo live, yo live, yo live,
Our mission is to normalize sobriety with veterans who are using and abusing substances in a harmful, self-medicating way. Welcome, world. I am Army veteran Joe Urick, and I am joined by my sister-in-arms, Army veteran Dr. Teresa Thomas. And if no one told you yet today, sobriety looks good on you. What's up, Dr. T?
Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Fantastic. We're going to jump right into a question. You ready?
You bet.
Awesome. So, Dr. T, why do so many veterans turn to alcohol or drugs after leaving the military?
Well, there are quite a few reasons why. Many veterans turn to alcohol or drug use after leaving the military to cope with trauma, stress, chronic pain, loss of identity, and just the challenges of transitioning to civilian life itself. And also the military does have a culture that really does celebrate the use of alcohol, right? We celebrate it. We celebrate it with, almost every event that you can think of in the military, alcohol is there as well. So it's quite natural. It has been normalized being in the military to go to alcohol. And a lot of times when we have veterans that have chronic pain, hey, take some Motrin, Ranger candy, right? Can go to drugs, opiates, and different things like that. So again, it's different reasons: trauma, stress, chronic pain, loss of identity, and the challenges of just transitioning to civilian life itself.
Amen. Yes. Yes. No truer words have ever been spoken. Good job, Dr. T.
You bet.
So we're going to jump right into today's episode. We have a Marine veteran, Jon Kline. Quick bio: born and raised in Los Angeles County. Growing up, was involved in sports like soccer, baseball, basketball. Saw 9/11 happen on the TV his freshman year of high school and decided then and there to serve his country. He joined the Marine Corps 7 days after graduating high school in 2005. He served from 2005 to 2015, 8 years as an amphibious assault vehicle crewman, 2 years as a military policeman, combat deployed to Iraq in 2007 as a saw gunner, unit deployment program to Okinawa in 2010 to 2011, 31st MEU, is that?
Yeah.
Yep. To Okinawa and Thailand in 2011, 2012, transitioned out of the Marine Corps in 2015 and started working in federal law enforcement, promoted to patrol sergeant in 2017, moved to Florida in 2021, and started working for Clearwater Police Department, leaving in 2023 due to an injury. He started school to pursue a master's degree in psychology work, to work with vets and first responders with PTSD after leaving law enforcement, ended up getting divorced after leaving Clearwater, moving several times and working dead-end jobs to make ends meet, ended up meeting his amazing wife, started working in the finance industry, and got sober on March 30th of 2025. Welcome, Jon. It's great to have you on.
Yes,
Thanks
welcome.
for having me.
Yeah, this is a pleasure. So let's kind of start back at the beginning. Of all the branches, what made you choose the Marines?
To be honest, when I was younger, my dad was pretty hard on me with sports. He always pushed me super hard. He's like, you never take the easy road. And when I saw 9/11 happen, I liked proving people wrong, right? So 9/11 happened. I was like, oh, I'm going to join the military. And somebody said, well, the hardest branch is the Marine Corps. It's like, I'm going to do that. And everybody laughed. They're like, yeah, right. Because I had a problem with authority, and I was constantly getting in trouble. So they're like, you wouldn't even make it. So I was like, watch me. So that's what I did. I went into a recruiter's office, told him that I wanted to join, entered into the delayed entry program, and then got kicked out of high school. So I graduated continuation high school for getting in fights and bad grades. And my recruiter was like, you have to get it together. So I did. And 7 days after I graduated, I was on that bus down to MCRD San Diego.
Wow.
Hey.
Okay. Outstanding. And then any takeaways from getting in? Was it what you expected? Was you like, oh crap, this is real now? Like...
I think like everybody else who joins the Marine Corps, they all probably watch Full Metal Jacket and they're like, oh, that doesn't look so bad. The first day on the Yellow Footprints is like, what the hell did I sign up for?
Yeah.
Right. And it it continues to get worse in the beginning because you're like, what, like constant screaming, constant running, constant. But I mean, it was fun, right? Playing football in high school and stuff. You're kind of used to stuff like that. But I mean, no, it wasn't what I expected at all in the beginning. But it was one of the best decisions I ever made.
Nice. Very cool.
Okay.
So you were an amphibious assault vehicle crewman. We just had on Captain Simon, I believe. She was like one of the first females. She's now a professional boxer. Did you happen to have you ever heard of her?
No, I had gotten out before they had integrated even female commissioned officers into Amtrak's. I left Amtrak's in 2013, and I think they integrated them shortly after that, like 14 or 15.
Yep. Gotcha. Cool. So any cool stories about doing that? Any training or actually live action stuff?
Yeah, I mean, Amtrak's, well, to be honest, we were voted the least favorite job in the Marine Corps for like 2 years running.
No way.
You got to think these vehicles were made back in the 80s, and they would do one upgrade at a time, like change a nut or like change a piece of like suspension just to keep the contract running. So they were constantly falling apart. They were hot. They were loud. But it was like driving a 56,000-pound go-kart. It was pretty awesome. And shooting the upgun station, the UDP and the MEU that I did, I got to operate in the Amtrak. So when I went to Iraq, like there was no real need for Amtrak, so I got to do the provisional infantry thing. But I mean, Amtraking was that. There's a reason why that we say YAT, that you ain't tracks, you ain't shit, because that community is so tight knit, and the suffering together that we did and all the field ops. You're constantly in the field, but you never get past that smell of diesel and grease. You know what I mean? It always like resonates.
You were deployed once, this says?
Yeah, to a combat deployment, in 2007 to Iraq.
Okay, gotcha. Any horror stories from that? Did everything go smooth, or how was your time?
So we ended up losing 5 guys when
sorry.
I was there. There was one of our Marines, John Tanner, stepped on a pressure plate and ended up losing both his legs and one of his arms on the convoy that we were on for my specific squad to go over and kind of build up an EPB while we were out there because we were doing pretty good. So we lost him August 29th, and then we lost 4 others. So, and those guys died to a 1,500-pound VBID. And like we saw combat when we were there. We had a couple other guys get injured. So in the beginning of the deployment, the first half, we were in a spot called Dulab, and it was quiet. Like some pop shots here and there, nothing crazy. Finding a lot of caches and IEDs and stuff. And the grunts that we were attached to, I guess they were getting pissed off that we were finding all this stuff, and it was a dead deployment, and there was nothing happening. So we ended up switching AOs. Now, when we switched AOs and went to where they were, they saw a change in the guard, and everything started heating up, and that's where we lost our guys. So,
sorry to hear that. That's tough.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, so you did you did your initial enlistment, and then you re-upped, and then you got out, or did you re-up twice?
No, I did a 5-year contract. Originally, they had sent me to Pensacola, Florida, to be an aviation technician, like an electrician. Okay. And I didn't join the Marine Corps. Like, I didn't see 9/11 happen and be like, I want to go work on planes. No, like, I wanted to go fight. I just didn't know what I was doing. And so a group of us together at the aviation school were like, we don't want to be here. That's all fail out. So we answered C on all the tests, and they're like, you can't do that. So then we answered D on all the tests, and then we could get like messed up and having to PT, and then we did the zigzag, and finally they had enough of us. And they sent a large group of us, I think it was like 12 of us, from aviation. They're like, you guys are going to Amtrak's, and we're like, there's trains in the Marine Corps.
Right.
I don't want to be a train conductor. So they ended up sending a large group of us. So my first initial enlistment was 5 years, and then I did a 4-year enlistment and a 1-year extension.
Wow. I didn't even know that was possible for them to like just get fed up and move you to a whole different MOS.
I know, right?
That's pretty wild. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of the needs of the Marine Corps at that point, I guess. I mean, I was such a junior Marine, and I was a Lance Corporal, so I had no idea what I was doing. So maybe it was the needs of the Marine Corps, or like I said, anybody who is an Amtracker, typically, they never start as an Amtracker. It's an MOS of like washouts of other MOSs. Anybody who joins as an Amtracker, there's something slightly off with them. Because, you know what I mean? So it's always a joke, because we're a hodgepodge of all the failouts.
Interesting. That's pretty wild. So I did my initial enlistment, and then I got out. I was stop loss because of our deployment, and I got out due to a couple of reasons. Number one, I wanted to start a family at some point, and I kind of saw what happens when we deploy, how Jody creeps in, and just how families kind of fall apart. Number two, some questionable things happen with our leadership, which Dr. T knows very well about. And then number three, I also came back from our first deployment with all my limbs and most of my sanity. So I was like, you know what? Me and Uncle Sam are square.
Yeah.
So what was the reason for you to get out after your second enlistment? Are you enjoying these stories of veterans totally rocking it with sobriety? Here at This Sober Vet podcast, we want to keep bringing these warriors' tales of triumphs to you. However, we need your help to make that happen. We're in need of sponsors for This Sober Vet podcast. That's right, now's the time to show your support, advertise your brand, or just make a monetary donation. It's easy. Just go to our website, www.thissobervet.com. To become a sponsor, fill out the form on our contact page. To donate, just click on support the mission. Let's keep shining a light for those still in the dark.
Well, I had actually, to be honest, I planned on staying in for 20. I went to, when I was at the military policeman, and I was fapped out there, it's a fleet assistance program is what we call it. So I went there for 2 years, and within those 2 years, I was able to grease the right gears. They sent me to the Marine Corps Police Academy West. I got the secondary MOS of a 5811 and a military policeman, and my thought process was like, I don't want to be an Amtracker anymore. It's a dying MOS. I want to do something else. So I tried to lat move into being MP.
Okay.
Well, I was told there weren't enough boat spaces, and so like I had to go back to tracks after my time was done. They were like, hey, you're going to be picking up staff this summer, so we're going to send you to Lejeune. I had a custody agreement at the time with my ex-wife and her son that if we were to move, we'd lose custody because it was kind of contentious between her and her ex-husband. So I told him, like, I can't, like, we have a custody agreement. I can't leave. And they said, okay, well, we'll send you unaccompanied. Like, you can just go by yourself. I was like, I'm not splitting up my family. And they're like, well, you already re-enlisted once. It's the needs of the Marine Corps. Like, this is what you get. I was like, okay, well, here are my papers. I'm getting out.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So that's when I decided to get out.
Okay. Well, how did military culture influence your views on drinking or substance use while being in?
Oh, I saw it a lot growing up, and so I was already familiarized with drinking. I started drinking at a younger age, and then I stopped before I joined. But it was just, in Amtracs, you were drinking every single day. And if you didn't drink every single day, you weren't part of that clique. Right? So we were the rowdy bastards, or the bastard children of the Marine Corps that everybody forgot about. So we embraced that culture. It started when I hit the fleet, my very first day of the fleet. I take all my stuff, I put all my gear and everything in my barracks room. A corporal kicked open my door and thrust a beer in my face. And I was like, I'm not old enough. He's like, I don't care. He's like, we're fucking drinking. I was like, okay. So and that was kind of like, we partied before we left underage, and then when we got back from Iraq, we saw it all, and all the assault dogs that had deployed before us, they were really heavy drinkers. And then we all just fell in the same suit. You drank in every day that ended with Y, and then if you didn't, then you weren't in the clique.
Gotcha.
And you were kind of shunned.
Gotcha. Well, tell me this. What was the biggest challenge that you faced when transitioning from military to civilian life?
I was very blessed.
Okay.
Not everybody has the transition that I did. And
Okay.
I think a lot of individuals who leave the military and get into law enforcement, they have that same symbolism of brotherhood or camaraderie, right? So
Okay.
anybody who leaves law enforcement or leaves the military and chooses to go into a first responder job, they have that safety net
Okay.
to where you're not having the camaraderie, the brotherhood, everything stripped away from you, right?
Gotcha.
So I was fortunate enough to fall into law enforcement where there was still that, it wasn't as robust, but it was still there. But same thing in law enforcement, it's a lot of heavy drinkers because of all the stuff that you see, and it's supported. Every barbecue you go to, the wives are driving home because all the husbands are getting wasted. So it reinforced the behaviors that I had already learned, and it was a supportive behavior as long as you could show up and work. So had I not had that, I think I probably would have fallen off the rails a lot harder than I did.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
When you were in, did you ever get in trouble for drinking at all, or did you kind of stay?
Yeah, yeah. And never as a junior Marine, I somehow flew under the radar. Anybody who says like back in the day that they didn't drink underage, come on, like we all know you did. It's okay. I didn't get in trouble the first time really until I was a sergeant. I went out in town drinking. I had to relieve myself. I went to the back of the bar because the bar was closed. A cop rolled up on me. I didn't say anything. I'm in the alleyway going to the bathroom with someone next to me. So I swung, and next thing I knew, I'm on my face.
Ooh.
I told the supervisor. Thank God it was Oceanside, California. So the cops are usually pretty good.
Okay.
I told the supervisor what happened. They brought me into base. I had to sit there with the MPs who were running their mouths, and I was running my mouth back. And then the next day, like they were talking about NJPing me. They wanted to take my rank to make an example, but I got what's called a NIP block. Okay. It's a non-punitive letter of caution.
Oh, okay.
To where it's like, all right, well, here's the deal. If you do this again, if there's an alcohol-related incident again, like we're taking your rank. There's no questions. There's no counselings. Like it's done. I was forced to go to an AA meeting on base, like a substance abuse meeting. Just one. I went to one, and I was such a cocky individual that I knew I wasn't going to quit. That I was sitting there checking my watch in the meeting because I didn't want to be there. And the counselor's like, well, why do you keep checking your watch? I was like, I'm here because I have to be, not because I want to be. And it's getting closing time. The bar's calling. I'm going to go. Because that was the culture that we were in. Like, it was bad. I drank a lot.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
absolutely.
So I got lucky.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you know what the range of ranks were in that AA meeting, or were people in their civilian clothes?
I think the highest it went up, there was one gunny that was there, but the rest of the individuals were either sergeants or like junior Marines.
Okay. Well, what was the specific moment when you realized, you know what, I need some help?
You mean when I got sober?
Yeah.
It was March 30th of last year. When I had left my ex-wife, I was like, I'm done drinking. Like, I need to get my stuff together. So I started training, started working out, getting like really good. And I met my wife now, and our first date, she had a couple drinks, and I told her I was sober, and it was cool. She didn't push it on me. But the next time we went out on a date, I was like, oh, you know what? Like, maybe I can have one.
Yeah.
Maybe I've been sober for like 5-6 months. Like, maybe I can get away with just having one,
Okay.
which lasted for a month, maybe 2, and then it snowballed. So it was March 30th of 2025. I had tied one on the night before this, so the 29th. I was really, really drunk, and I had never been mean to my wife, but I got a little snappy, defensive. We got into a pretty nasty argument, and I didn't remember it. And she came in the next morning, and instead of screaming, yelling, anything else, she woke me up, and she's like, I love you. I'm really worried about you because you're drinking a lot. And it was in that moment I was like, this woman has been nothing but supportive. She's loving, caring. She's everything that I could ever ask for in a partner, and then some. She does not deserve to feel this way. I need to put myself in check. So I told her, I was like, you don't deserve to feel that way. I'm never touching it again. I haven't looked back.
Wow.
So
that is
it was
outstanding.
It was because my ex-wife had tried to get me to quit drinking before, but she was drinking a lot too. And it was always a fight, like, you're doing this, or being demeaning, or starting an argument. The way that she came about it was such a soft tone, and from a genuine, caring place, made me actually open my eyes for the first time in my life. Like, wow, I do have a problem. I need to stop.
Wow.
Okay, that's something.
That is great. Isn't it good to have such a good woman? Because, like, my wife got me to quit too. And, dude, I'm telling you, because imagine, like, play it out if you didn't. Like, you would probably end up losing her. You would continue drinking. Like, nothing good would be happening. So, like,
Exactly.
Thank God for the strength of good women. Holy moly.
Yeah. I don't think enough can be said about it.
Speak on it.
Yeah, So I play, one of the things I do on the side, I play a lot of competitive softball, and one of my coaches for my team, He's a corrections, not a corrections, he's a probation officer, and he heard my story and he wants me to come speak to the DUI classes that he has. And one of the things is, he said, what's most important about the story is the fact that my wife came about it in such a soft, supportive way instead of being combative. And I can't say enough about anybody, even family members, if you come from, and the situation dictates, but for me, coming from a place of genuine concern and care is what really made me open my eyes, because I had never experienced that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the past it was always like, you did this while
Yep.
drinking. Blah. Yeah.
Yep.
So I have a question. When you were a cop, and if you would pull someone over for like drinking and driving, or bust someone for public intoxication, knowing that you were an alcoholic and you're busting this person for doing something that you enjoyed to do, did that ever make you think or feel some sort of way?
No, because I feel like everyone who drinks and drives or anything like that, like, your time can come or you can kill somebody. And my job at the time, in the present moment, with the badge on my chest, was to protect the city that I work in, the people that live there, habitat, go and do business. That was my job. I would go a step further though, and I had only written a couple DUIs when I was there. But I would go a step further and give them a bunch of pamphlets and other stuff to seek help. Like, usually you see people who, like, cops who pull DUIs, they're just like, oh, whatever, dude. Like, they take them in, they book them, they have their court case, and they're not always the nicest. But I feel like I tried to go a step further to at least set them up for success, because I don't think that was done enough.
Okay.
And I was pretty lenient, which I'm not a cop anymore, so I don't care. But if they performed decent enough on the field sobriety test, and they blew like just at or under, I would give them a certain amount of time to get a ride.
Oh, good. Okay. Nice.
Okay.
Right? Like, you have 15 minutes to get somebody here who is sober to come pick you up, right? And let this be an eye-opening situation, which, I mean, we shouldn't do, but I try to be nice. But yeah, it just, if I had to arrest somebody in the moment for having a DUI, I try to provide more information, like knowledge for them, or at least resources.
Right.
Okay. And so, in regards to healthy coping skills that usually a lot of people replace the alcohol, now they have hobbies and different things like that. Like, what healthy coping skills have replaced alcohol in your life right now?
I still train at the gym. The training has always been a pretty big one for me. That kind of took over. More recently, I've gotten back into softball, which is kind of ironic because I play in a beer league. But all the guys I play with, like, they all respect the fact that I'm sober. No one tries to force anything on me. Most recently, one of my best friends that I went to Iraq with, he's a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he's been trying to get me into it for like 6 years. I was telling Joe in an email most recently, my father passed away on the 23rd of last month.
Yes.
My condolences.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, like, hey, my boy Rick's trying to get me to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like, I'm thinking about it. I'm not sure if I'm committed. And one of the last things my dad said to me was, "You better fucking do it." I was like, okay.
Okay.
So just anything active, like, for me, keeps my mind occupied, and it's helpful to stay sober.
Gotcha. And how important is connection and camaraderie in maintaining recovery right now?
It's not as important for me as it might be for other people.
Okay.
I was telling Joe before we started, I've lost a lot of friends. Like, people say I've changed, and I'm not in the party clique anymore, and I'm doing better for myself, and they're not at that level yet. So,
Yeah.
okay, like, if you don't want to talk to me, that's fine. I get it. My support system is very small.
Okay.
The camaraderie. My best friend of 21 years, he's been sober for 6 or 7 years now.
Okay.
So when I was going through it, trying to quit, I would call him. He's kind of like my unofficial sponsor. And then my other buddies, that they still drink, but they're supportive of the idea of being sober. They don't hold it against you. So it's important to an extent, in my opinion, because it's quality over quantity.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So week 1 of your sobriety, so your wife just had the talk. You're like, holy crap, this is real. I need to quit right now. The first couple days, the first week, were there urges? What'd you do to stay on the path?
I sat in it.
Okay.
I told myself that I earned feeling like that. And that I needed to experience how shitty I was feeling to know that it was caused by alcohol. And I don't get to sit and feel bad for myself. I don't get to sit because the way that I had talked to my wife, like I earned this feeling, and I'll, like the only way for me to get through it to the next level was to sit in it and just feel it. So I white knuckled for the first week. I was miserable. I was angsty.
Yeah.
I didn't take it out on anybody. I internalized everything. And I just, that's kind of how I've been my whole life. Like if I'm going through something, a difficult time, usually I've earned it. So I just need to sit in it and experience it. So I learn from that lesson to move forward.
That is great advice. I hope listeners like take that in, because for you to sit and actually feel that, like, because when you're drinking, everything's numb. So now that you have no numbing mechanism, now that you're letting it fester and you're just like, wow, like this is where I put myself. This is what I deserve to kind of get through this. Like that's a very emotionally mature way to get through it. So kudos for that. Now, did you have any like urges after like the month point, or when did you kind of feel like, you know what, I can do this?
I mean, there's always urges. Still to this day, like a really, really hard day is just like, God, you know what? A cold beer sounds really good right now. Right. But it's not overbearing to the point where it's like drowning in my thoughts. I knew I could do it roughly after a month, because it was at the month mark that my wife told me how proud she was of me.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I can do this. Like, if not for me, then my family deserves better. They deserve the best version of me. So it's on me to stay this path to give them what my family deserves. So it was that positive reinforcement that I was receiving that really let me know that, yes, you've made a decision that's hard, but you also have an amazing support system within to get you through anything. So like I said, there's still urges. Like I still do a lot of activities where there is drinking, softball, golf. But it's a decision that I've made, and it's gotten easier to say no every time.
Good. What advice would you give a veteran who's struggling in silence right now?
You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to. I guarantee that there is either somebody in your life that doesn't know what you're going through that will be in your corner if you are vulnerable and open up. I think that vulnerability isn't spoken enough in terms of sobriety, because it is a very vulnerable thing to admit that you have a problem with something and take ownership of that problem.
Yeah.
So I feel if more veterans just say, I need help, because I mean, you both know in the military you're taught that asking for help or showing vulnerability is a sign of weakness, and it's a sign of strength.
Right.
So there's somebody in your life that will listen. If there's not somebody in your life, like I know you see these things that come out about like the numbers a call, or I know a lot of people don't like going to the VA, but there's still resources. You don't have to do it alone if it's an issue. Reach out, talk to somebody, and just allow yourself to sit in it and be vulnerable and just let it out. Because if you sit and stew on it, I'm sure we've all done this. You sit and stew, and then your brain starts spinning, and then what do you want to do? You want to numb it, right? You want to turn it off. So it's a perpetuating cycle of bullshit, because you're going to sit in silence, and then you want to numb the silence. So just open up to somebody. You don't have to be the world's hardest man or woman.
Yeah.
It's okay to be vulnerable. Just ask or speak to somebody.
Great advice.
Very
So
good.
in the beginning for me, I noticed that my emotions were like almost uncontrollable, because from the age of 14 and a half, 15 to 40, I was drinking. So like never really dealt with emotions because I would just push them down with the alcohol. So when I quit and we would be watching a family movie on a Friday night, one of my boys would look over and be like, "Oh my God, Dad's crying." I'm like, "No, I'm not crying." Like watching Shrek. So my emotions were crazy, which now I embrace it. Now I do cry. I'm a human. Like I embrace it. I'm totally fine with it. Were your emotions in the beginning like off the charts, or were they kind of in control? Okay.
I was like, why am I crying right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it's a Tuesday afternoon and nothing is happening. Like what is? I mean, I've been going to therapy. I think I started therapy right after I went sober.
Okay.
And that's helped a lot. Another thing that I can't stress enough, like going sober has helped change the trajectory of my life. But I receive the ketamine treatments through a doctor for PTSD. And that was, I don't want to take too much credit for me being sober and like listening to like what my wife's saying. There's things on the outside that have helped. So ketamine for me for my PTSD saved my life in a way. I was one bad day away from eating a bullet. And I knew I needed help, and a friend of mine's mom at the police department had gotten ketamine, and they knew that I was in a bad spot. And it was when I left law enforcement, completely lost my identity, from being a warrior for like, what was that, 18 and a half years?
Yeah.
Having that stripped from me, I needed something, and ketamine has been the thing. I go every 6 weeks now for a maintenance dose, and I have a therapy session right afterwards to work through trauma. But instead of going with like antidepressants or other stuff, the SSRIs, I've chosen that route. So that has been amazing as far as helping.
Yeah.
Attention veteran entrepreneurs, we've got a special announcement just for you. Marathon Business Advisory Services is proud to present a unique opportunity, a J-Dog franchise, veteran-owned and ready for its next chapter. Whether you're looking to own your first business or grow through acquisition, this could be the perfect fit. And the best part, it's completely confidential, with no cost and no obligation to explore the opportunity. Just reach out to Jay Calandra at j.calandra@marathonbas.com to learn more. Support veteran success. Build your future. Let Marathon guide the way. Can you speak on that transition? Because I know a lot of veterans go into the law enforcement or first responder space, and then there's an end to everything. So once that is done, and like you said, you're not a warrior anymore.
Yeah.
Besides the ketamine, like what else kind of helped with that transition? Because that's got to be tough.
Nothing. Ketamine.
Okay.
Ketamine treatments and therapy were the only, and talking to my best friend. And he would remind me like, bro, it's like we might wear it, but that's not who we are inside, right? That's just a job that we do. So having him be there, but yeah, so Dr. T, you were talking about it beforehand, like how was the transition when I got out? And I said I was very fortunate.
Right.
Well, I experienced that transition in a later period in time. To where, I was a little bit older, a little wiser, a little bit more life experience, but that transition was hard.
Yeah.
Very hard, because I felt like I had lost my identity. I was no longer who I've been for the last 18 and a half years. I was told that I wasn't doing enough around the house because I had left a job and I needed to get another job, and I was just having a hard time waking up in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what's the point? I'm not a warrior anymore. Like, I just completely lost who I am. So I was dealing with my own form of grief of like the death of who I was.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's what a lot of veterans go to, and the easiest way to turn that off was drinking. So when I left law enforcement, I went down a bottle of bourbon a night. Like if my ex-wife had left the house and was doing something, I'd sneak beers because I'd get scolded like I was a kid.
Right.
So I'd get it in when I could. But yeah, that was one of the hardest times that I've ever had to go. Like I'll put that up there with losing my dad recently.
Okay.
So that was it was insane. Like I hated myself.
Yeah. And this is what this podcast is about, is just being raw, telling it all, right? So that other veterans can understand, you know what? Okay, they get it. He gets it. He understands the different struggles, the true struggles that we go through when getting out of the military or ending a career, right? So being able to identify those true struggles and kind of normalizing that as well, that it's okay to not be okay. However, there are supports that are available to assist you. And all you have to do is come out of the shadows, right? And have that strength that it takes to ask for help.
So, Dr. T, that's actually a really good point. One thing that I always have trouble grasping, because I was in those shadows, and when
Yeah.
you're actively, like John, drinking a bottle a day, mad at the world, just you have a shield up, you don't want to accept the position you're in, so you're numbing, you're drinking. It's kind of like a me versus them. You just seclude everything out. How do you snap out of that and seek help? Like, what would you say, Dr. T, to that veteran who's currently in that state where they're just self-medicating, they're lost to the world, they feel like they're hopeless? What's a good way to snap out of that?
A good way to snap out of it is, for one, just to think about future. Think about future. What do you want your future to look like? A lot of times we lose hope, right? So without hope, you can continue to do the drinking, continue to self-medicate and all of these things. But if you can think of something that gives you hope for the future, that's a starting point right there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep. Whether that's a family member, a job, something.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because you're having to reinvent yourself a lot of times and find your identity again. So reinventing yourself, finding a hobby, like we have a lot of our veterans that we've talked to have a hobby. Just like we're talking about now, softball and then jiu-jitsu. Find a hobby and be able to get out and get into those different things. That's something that's going to help to come out of the shadows. And I have to say this too. I'm not sure. I know we have some people who are not believers, but I am a believer, and I do believe that God will place people in your life. It may just be one person, one little event that can spark a change.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen to that. And again, a true warrior, just like John,
Yeah.
goes through this hard time
Yeah.
and comes out on the other side. That's a
Absolutely.
true warrior. A true
Yes.
warrior doesn't just self-medicate and give up on himself or
Right.
herself. A true warrior realizes where they're at and
Mm-hmm.
does something to fix it and get better. So to me, that's the true warrior. So John, I'm very proud of you, brother, man. You're doing
Absolutely.
great.
Thank you, brother. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
It's freaking
Just to
awesome.
touch on just what you touched on about the religion portion, I was probably the last person that anybody would ever expect to come to religion again, because of some stuff that happened when I was a kid and like just life events.
Yeah.
But when I got into the finance industry on a whim, the company I'm with is a faith-based company, and I was like, I can't do this job. I'm not a hypocrite, so like I can't do this job and not give it a fair shake,
Yeah.
right? And so I started praying, started reading the Bible, started opening my eyes and paying attention, and God is good.
Yeah.
Like I said, the least person that anybody would ever expect to say that, but I'm able to see now that there have been signs my entire life point me in a direction. He couldn't have said it any louder, right? He doesn't
Yeah.
have a megaphone, but now that I'm able to pay attention to the signs, and I act on those signs now because
Yeah.
of finding religion.
That's huge. That is definitely
is.
huge. So here's a good example of that. So I was telling you earlier, John, I just hit my 4-year sobriety date.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
le-
congratulations to
Yeah,
you,
Thank
congrats,
Joe.
brother.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It's huge. Leading up to that week, my wife was away on a business trip, and I'm a small business owner. Literally everything that could go wrong with my business did. And I recognized the devil was doing everything he could because he didn't want me to get to that 4-year mark, because he knows the longer I'm sober, the more people I could influence and kind of take away from his army. So he's like hitting me with business issues, hitting me with personal issues. My wife was gone. I didn't have that support system. So what I did was this past Sunday morning, I woke up early. I worked out because where normally I would have just drank myself stupid, I was like, no, I'm going to go to bed early so I could start tomorrow early. So I got up early. I worked out. I went to church solo. After church, we're in our summer program now. So we have an amphitheater in the back of our church. So we had service outside. It was absolutely beautiful. And my senior pastor led the service. Afterwards, I went down to her. She is an ex-addict. Her name's Pastor Amy. And I just respect and love her so much. So after service, I went down to her and I was like, Pastor Amy, I was like, the devil is coming for me. I recognize what he's doing, but can you just pray with me? I need strength and I just need to be able to like rebuke him and just be strong in my path. So she put her hands out. She held my hands, prayed over me for about 5 minutes. And like, the fact that I recognized what was happening, I knew where to go. I turned right back to God, grabbed my senior pastor. She immediately stopped what she was doing, prayed over me. And this week has been phenomenal. Like that was enough to kind of get me out of the funk. But it took me being humble and knowing where to turn when shit gets really tough. And it helped me. It was huge.
Yeah, being vulnerable, like we talked about. You weren't afraid to be vulnerable and say that you needed help.
Right.
And I think that's honestly, from the ones that I've seen, vulnerability is talked about a lot, and I don't think it's talked about enough.
Right.
Because we have the warrior ethos within every branch, even though we bicker between all of us,
Absolutely.
But you're taught not to be vulnerable, because if you're vulnerable, then you can be attacked.
Yes. Right.
If you're vulnerable, then you can be attacked. Like, that's what we're taught. So instead of like just trying your best to lose that mindset and understand that vulnerability actually enhances strength, because you're addressing a problem at hand. So the fact that you almost 4 years into your journey, you were still able to see the signs, you were able to be vulnerable and keep you on that path, dude, it speaks worlds about your journey, brother. I'm proud of you.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you, dude. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and it's just another win for me, because that's all sobriety is. Once you're sober, you start counting your wins. You realize, wow, I could make it through a bad day without drinking. Oh man, or I could make it through the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and I didn't have a beer. Oh man, like all these little wins build your confidence up, and it helps in so many ways. But you have to be vulnerable. You have to strip away whatever ego you had, and you just got to push forward, and you'll get it.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Very good. Very good. So, John, what gives you hope for your future?
My family and my new business that I started in the finance industry. It's just I'm able to help people. It gave me that the meaning, my purpose again, because I think one of the biggest things that we lose when we get out of the military is we lose our purpose.
Yes.
Our purpose is mission oriented, mission driven.
Yeah.
You have everything laid out for you. So I feel like God put me here on this earth to help people, right?
Yes.
And I lost that ability from the military. I lost that from law enforcement because I left.
Yeah.
In the financial services, I'm able to help people in a way that I've never been able to before. And with my VA disability, like I make enough as it is, so it's not about the money. It's about impacting families, spreading the word of God, impacting anybody that I can help or teach, and then spreading the word of sobriety. Like I have some friends who haven't quit yet, but they've seen how my life has transformed since I quit drinking, and they've cut way back, like a beer here and there instead of every day. So, but I mean, the future looks bright. I'm excited I have some events that I'm going to be speaking about. One of them is the sobriety for the DUI class. Another one is teaching people how to be financially literate and financially free. So like just being able to impact people and make a difference in people's lives, that's what's really driving my future. And the future's bright.
My biggest joy is watching people that went through hell and went through that darkness and are now where you are, because now you're a light. Now you're an inspiration for those around you to want to cut back, to want to quit. Like, I just love how our transition as sober veterans always turns to such a positive, like, who else can we help? How can I turn around and grab my battle buddy behind me? Like, it's just a joy, dude. So you're on such a good path, brother.
I appreciate you, brother. Truly, to be honest, it was an honor to be here. Like I said, I was drawn to your content because you were unafraid of what it looks like to be sober and what you can lose, right? Because people look at you differently if you say that you have a problem with something. They think it's a sign of weakness. But you were unafraid. You're pushing forward. You're having veterans on who are changing their lives. You're getting the word out there. So the minute I saw that, I was like, dude, I connect with this. I think it was right after I got sober, I sent you a message.
Outstanding.
That
Yep.
is
And
great.
then you reached out to me I think it was like a two weeks later. Said there was a long waiting list, which is great, dude. I love that you're so busy with it. But it's just thank you both for what you do,
Absolutely.
for providing a platform for people to be unafraid and to talk about it.
Yes.
It's
yes.
amazing.
It's super important.
My name's Jon Kline, and that's how I became this sober vet.
Recovery thrives on connection. Like, subscribe, and follow this Sober Vet podcast so more veterans can hear the message that change is possible.